Miami, Florida on CSS. The University of Miami 2010 spring football schedule reaching its culmination with the annual spring game. You see the orange wearing offense, and Whipple at quarterback is hit as he throws the ball loose in the backfield, and fireworks immediately here at this scrimmage as a turnover, and credit right away the defense, and as we mentioned, the return of number 97, Adewale Ojomo.
Yeah, Ojomo sat out last season with an unfortunate injury, not a playing injury, actually a locker room horseplay injury. Broke his jaw, had to sit out all last year, but he's come back very strong. He's actually 260 pounds, added about 20 pounds over the course of the year after getting his wires removed from his jaw.
So credit 2 points for the defense on the fumble recovery, and they go the other way, and a pitch out to the left side. Running with the football is a guy who certainly enjoyed a breakthrough season in 2009, coming back as a senior out of Belglade is Damian Berry, and of course he moves into the first team in the absence not only of the departed senior Javaris James, but of course Greg Cooper, who is on the comeback trail after that devastating knee injury sustained in a loss to Wisconsin in the bowl game. At quarterback number 11, A.J. Highsmith, the only one of the 3 quarterbacks this afternoon who actually have experience in a real game. He whips it to the tight end, Richard Gordon. And Gordon, Casey, a guy that also steps into the forefront as the first-team tight end after both Graham and Epps, as well as Tavares Johnson, move on from the program.
What a story Gordon is. He's entering his 6th year. Actually got a medical red shirt and hasn't had very much production over the course of his career, but they're going to depend on him not only to catch the ball but also to block, and he's a physically imposing player, 6'4", by 280, very fast, very powerful, but just has lacked that certain something that's kept him off the field in production.
Highsmith with a handoff, leaning forward and picking up a couple. Damian Berry, who last year finished first on the team in rushing touchdowns with 8 on the season, despite the fact that he was not seen often early on. Of course, with Cooper and James, Berry became really one of the primary backs late in the season and into the bowl game. The pass by Highsmith is incomplete. And as we take a look at the secondary, Brandon McGee, a sophomore cornerback out of nearby Plantation, one of those guys that has an opportunity at the cornerback spot, maybe to lock down a starting position. He'll be competing with the likes of DeMarcus Van Dyke and, of course, Brandon Harris. Harris will not play this afternoon as he nurses a recent injury to his hamstring. But McGee, number 21, a sophomore, one of 3 true freshmen a year ago to play in 10 games. Of course, Mike James, Olivier Vernon, the other 2. A 3rd and 8 now, and Highsmith in the shotgun. The tight end in motion to the right. Quick pass, complete, across the 10 and into the end zone. A touchdown, and that is Leonard Hankerson, actually the wide receiver who was in motion on that play, and the first time in the end zone during this spring scrimmage this afternoon.
Great drive, great orchestrated drive by A.J. Highsmith there. Looks very calm, very confident in the pocket. Sets back, has a little bit of a crossing route, maybe a pick on the outside, and then Hankerson gets separation, gets in the end zone. They're going to count on him quite a bit this year as a leader in that offensive, or in the offense room, to provide that leadership and also make big plays.
Hankerson comes back as the veteran, the senior, among the wide receivers. No Matt Bosher today. He too out with an injury. So Jake Wyclaw, a guy who is trying to claw his way onto the playing field during the regular season. Bosher does it all. Wyclaw converts on the point after, and so the score here early on in our first quarter is 8-2. There's a look at Wyclaw, the sophomore out of New Lenox, Illinois. And Hankerson, like Damian Berry, Casey, enjoyed quite a breakthrough season. He did suffer from many of the drops earlier in his career after a standout career in Fort Lauderdale at St. Thomas High School last year. First on the team in catches with 45, in receiving yards with 801, and 6 receiving touchdowns as well.
Yeah, he definitely had a breakthrough season last year, and they're going to count on him to, like I said, to provide that leadership. Is so important. What I found in the last couple springs in watching this Miami football team develop. You know, Coach Shannon's first spring had a real tough time getting guys lined up. Didn't have any leaders to show guys the way.
So we'll see if take 2 is any cleaner for Spencer Whipple. He's able to at least hand it off and met in the backfield is that talented redshirt freshman Lamar Miller, after Whipple was met by Ojomo on the very first play of the scrimmage, coughing it up with the fumble. He hands it off, and Miller is stuffed for no gain.
Yeah, what you have on the field right now is basically the first team starting defense against basically a patchwork second team offense. It's going to be tough for these guys to generate big plays, but see if they can grind it out on the ground. Especially the offensive line with some injuries to the first team, which obviously affects the second team offense as well. Three-step drop. Whipple's pass is complete. Still on his feet and breaking it across midfield is number 83 of the sophomore, Kendall Tompkins. Tompkins, one of those talented UM players out of Northwestern High School. So hard to break into that rotation at wide receiver for the likes of Kendall Tompkins, who's just a sophomore. You saw Hankerson with the touchdown. Also the likes, of course, of LaRon Bird, who's received much praise by the coaches for his outstanding spring. Aldarius Johnson, Travis Benjamin, Theron Collier. You have Tommy Streeter, Devon Johnson, so no shortage of superstars lining up that wide receiver position. They'll whistle this one dead with the obvious movement before the snap on the defense, negating the completion to Aldarius Johnson. Whipple using his cadence there to drop him off sides. And with Whipple, you see a player that he sees a lot of the things that AJ doesn't see. He's further along in the playbook, further along in development, but does lack a few of the physical skills that AJ possesses. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this progresses. And I don't think that they're going to be able to name a starter, even with the evaluation over spring. Whipple hands off. Lamar Miller breaks it to the outside left across the 35-30 to the sideline, and close to the 25-yard line is the redshirt freshman Lamar Miller, who has mystified with his blazing speed, breakaway talent. Even his teammates on the other side of the ball can't wait to see what Miller comes up with next. Yeah, it's going to be an exciting year, and this is something that I know Jacory is going to really appreciate going forward. They're going to have a stable of running backs. It's going to take a lot of pressure off